I made these gorgeous prints of fuchsia flowers, and I'm showing you today how I printed them with a Gelli Plate and developed them. But you have to help me out when I have to decide how to add my mother's portrait to these, so stay tuned. Hello. So, I wanted to draw a portrait of my mother. This is an old photo from the 60s, and it's very typical of her, so I really wanted to do this, but instead of the wine glass, which is not so romantic, I wanted to use her favorite bird, the mockingjay, I think it's called, Eichelheer in German. And I wanted to replace her hair with flowers. And also there is, I did all this in Procreate, and I actually turned it because for the print I need to turn it. I'll explain why in a minute. And yeah, there's also, I put a Scorpio in here because that's her star sign. I don't know if that's visible good. Yeah, so initially I wanted to draw it all, but my neighbor gave me these wonderful flowers, and it's October now, so I'm afraid they're not well for very much longer. And what I want to do now is make an impression of these flowers on the Gelli Plate, and to place the flowers somewhere around her head. So I wanted to make it a little bigger, so I printed it out in 2 pieces, and I'll just have to tape that together and then put the Gelli Plate on it. So stay tuned, just watch me doing this. So I am attaching these 2 parts together as I don't have a bigger printer. This just serves as a hint where to place and print the flowers to replace my mother's hair in the end. This is my XXL Gelli Plate, which is 40 by 50 centimeters. That is about 15 by 20 inches. But I don't really need this size. It's going to be smaller. I'm finding out now how I'll be placing the flowers exactly. I am printing with my beloved etching inks, but you can do this with acrylics too. But you probably have to use a pickup color then, as acrylics dry so fast. I just love this carmine red. The paint is a bit sticky at first. You have to roll it out a bit longer to get it even. I'm sort of building quite a big hair here. I think this is gonna be quite 70s. The contrast between a strong color and the black and white of the photo is also intended. Oh my, these flowers are so large and fully blown. I felt a bit bad having to squeeze them sadistically here. But my neighbor has literally thousands of them. To press the flowers into the paint, I used ordinary copy paper, but that was not such a good idea, as the paper tore a bit, being wet by the fresh flowers. Probably better to use a softer but sturdier paper. At this point I thought, this is not going to work out. But after taking the paper and the flowers off, I already saw that they have produced a very lovely imprint. And here you can see how I want the flowers to work as her hair, or giant wig. Forget about that Scorpio though. I don't want the print to be overly busy with motifs. Here I'm taking off the excess paint around the motif with some pure oil and a tissue. Any vegetable oil will do, or baby oil. With acrylics you can use either baby wipes or masking tape. I am placing some matte board, we call it passepartout, over the plate and use a large printing paper. I want to have a blank rim framing the print. Before you put down the paper, be absolutely certain you have registered it right with the mat board. And when you press down, take care to go along the inner rims of the mat board so you get a crisp edge. And voila, the reveal. I think it's breathtaking. And I love the blank rim that the mat board frame left. Should have done that to the other prints too, but for some reason I only did it with this one. Now for the working out, as usual with my colored pencils. If you're not interested in that, skip forward for about 2.5 minutes to see the next printing process. I am making the most dark marks in the places where my mother's head will meet the flowers. I'm making thicker and darker lines always to the right and downwards, as my light is coming from top left, so this doesn't look too drawn out. On the left sides, I take care to often make the lines interrupted, so they just subtly support the flower shapes. And here you can see, when I don't want sharp edges, I use the pencil, which is not sharpened, and draw a little diffuse. And then I sharpen it to make a crisp, dark edge. There are some areas where the print didn't actually work out well, so I have to support the typical flower shape a bit. I still find that very difficult, as I am constantly fighting the part in me that doesn't want the pure print look to be damaged. Although I preach imperfection in art, that is a kind of obsessive perfectionism in itself too, if that makes any sense. I barely give hints to some lines here, and I find that too much already. Filling in 2 more petal shapes that haven't printed well, and then I call it done. I love the result to pieces, and I want to make 2 more prints to have as a choice for the portrait I want to add. This one is going to be pure black, with some red effects that I actually did not plan, they just happened. The red background here didn't really do that. It is too thin now to even influence the black print. The flowers themselves did it. I placed the same flowers I had used before on the paint. Still haven't thought about using different paper for the excess. Note that the flowers are very wet now, as I had watered them overnight to stay usable for me. That produced a pretty weak and blurred print. So I thought about what I could do to save this one. You can see a very light shimmer of red in between the black here. I took all the flowers that I just used and pressed them on in some different places, and some on the blurred print. And the flowers gave me a mixture of black and red now, which was still on them. And the image was very crisp, to my delight. And the difference between parts that are out of focus and the crisp parts also adds a lot of interest. Isn't that just gorgeous? The flower prints are so detailed and yummy, I want to bite into them. Sorry. Unfortunately, I didn't remember my plan that they should serve as a wig, so the outcome of this one I could not use. But I love it, and surely I'm going to find another motif to use this one with. Working out this one, I won't really show you, as it follows basically the same principles, the only difference being that I also employ fine liners here. The blurred background print just gets some rough outlines and stays mainly out of focus. So this is the second flower wig, and as it cannot serve for my intended purpose, I am printing a second black one. I did not record it, but I'll show you a sped up glimpse of the working out. It is not that blurry anymore, and after putting some pencil and fine liner in a few places, I am adding red pencil to it so that it has this little red shimmer too, but basically stays black. Now here comes the question I want you to help me answer. After this one is out, which of the remaining two do I use to add my mother's portrait to, and which style should I paint or print her? I made Photoshop mockups for 3 options. I could do a direct transfer of a laser print, which I might alter a little bit in Photoshop like this, or I made a test trace monotype, which is not very well done, but that would look better if I repeat this, just to get you an impression. Or the third option is that I create a lino cut, which would look similar to this. And these 3 again with the other big hair. This is them all together for your overview. Please tell me in the comments, I really want your opinion. And you can decide how this one will go on and what my next tutorial will be about. By the way, the bird I will think about later. I just used the original wine glass here. I might even do a transfer with her body and then do a lino cut for the bird. See you next week. Looking forward to your comments. Bye.